हां, हां, हां. चालेल सर, मी एक प्रोग्राम चालू करून घेतो 2 मिनिटं. मग मी संध्याकाळी बोलतो आपल्याशी. होय, 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 होय. चालेल. हॅलो. हॅलो.
Yeah,
हां,
good
गुड मॉर्निंग
afternoon,
सर.
sir.
गुड मॉर्निंग, गुड आफ्टरनून सर.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
Okay. So, I am Kazi heartily welcome Dr. Modi, Dr. Chirag Modi in this induction program of machine learning and pattern recognition. I also welcome all the participants in the second session today. So before proceeding, let me introduce Dr. Chirag Modi. He completed his BTech from BVM Engineering College, Gujarat. Dr. Chirag Modi completed his MTech from NIT Surat, PhD from NIT Surat. Presently, he is working in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering of NIT Goa. His area of research is blockchain, cryptography and network security, information security and privacy, cloud computing, and visual computing. As far as the research project fund is concerned, sir have received the fund from ACRB DST GOI for the designing out of the VM monitoring based virtual machine interruption framework for securing virtual environment of cloud computing. Sir have received awards also. Few of them are: he secured first position in the national level workshop and competition on ethical hacking conducted by Vigilant Incorporation in association with IIT Roorkee at NIT Surat in 2013. Sir have also received the Best Review paper award for a survey of intrusion detection techniques in cloud, Journal of Network and Computer Application elsewhere in 2015, San Diego, USA. Sir have received the Young Scientist Award in the specialization of cloud computing by Venus International Foundation, Chennai, India in 2015. So this is a brief introduction about the Dr. Chirag Modi. Now I humbly request Dr. Chirag Modi to start the session. Please come, sir.
Thank you, sir, for my nice introduction. Let me share my PPT. Yeah, good afternoon to all. So in this session, we'll see that how data science and blockchain is relevant. It may be possible that blockchain technology is new for you, but future of the data science will be based on the blockchain, because blockchain is kind of database. So now the database trends are getting changed. So accordingly, we need to come up with the, or we need to explore the new techniques for performing the learning, trend analysis, prediction, with the accuracy, performance, efficiency of existing machine learning techniques are based on the data sources. So how accurate data sources you are providing to such techniques, accordingly you will get the performance of the applied machine learning techniques. So before starting this session, I would like to, because this session will be more interactive, so you can give the answers of such tutorial. Before starting this session, I would like to ask some questions relevant to the machine learning, and then we'll differentiate that how computer sciences are different from the data scientists. So you can see on this screen, I have provided the sequence of numbers. So these numbers looks random. So what you can do with this data? Generally, our computer scientists will have the certain data, and they would like to apply such data to the various machine learning techniques, and they are reviewing the performance of the machine learning techniques. So suppose if I am giving such kind of data to you, what you can do, you can perform the frequency estimate, you can perform the statistical analysis, or you can apply any other analysis techniques. So the role of data scientist is to apply the data analytics. So what will be the answer? How you can extend this sequence? What will be your answer? Can you give? Let us make this session interactive. How you can extend this sequence? What will be the next number in this sequence? Can anyone give the answer of this? What will be the next number after 9? It looks random, but still we can apply the frequency estimate, and based on the frequency we are fulfilling such missing data. We have already seen that how to fulfill the missing data, how to have noise. So here I can say that in this structure 3 is most frequent or 9 is the most frequent. So when I am analyzing this sequence, I can extend the sequence by 3 or 9. Because we know that we know that frequency analysis. That is why we are applying this sequence by value 3. Is it data mining? Is it machine learning? Is it statistical analysis, or is it data science? We are not sure. If I am applying the frequency analysis, then I can say that I am applying the statistical analysis. Based on the statistical analysis, this sequence will be extended by 3. So how these are the different terms coming in the computer science field, that why data science, why machine learning, why data mining, why statistical. There are different terms available, but all are having the different meanings. Let us take another sequence, that x1 is equal to 1, x2 is equal to 2, x3 is equal to 3, x4 is equal to 4. So what will be the value x5? We can easily give the answer x5 is equal to 5. But is it true? We have this data available and we want to predict the next number. So computer scientists will always tell that x5 should be equal to 5. But it is not always true. It can be 29 also. It can be 29 because we are not knowing the fourth order polynomial, or we are not thinking about the other fields. So this is differentiating the data scientist and the computer scientist. So data scientist will always apply the algorithms and they will find out the result. But computer scientists will always analyze the data and they will find out they will predict the next number. But data scientists will observe the data and they will provide all the possible solutions. So think about when you are having the certain data, you are applying machine learning techniques and you are showing that this is the application of this data. Data scientists will analyze the data. Data scientists are analyzing the data and they can provide that what kind of different applications we can develop using this data. So this is the difference between data scientist and computer scientist. Let us take another example. See this sequence. So what should be the next number? Here why we have given the x5 is equal to 5, because we are more familiar with the linear relation of this data than the fourth order polynomial, and that is why we have given answer 5. And if you go into debate, everyone will tell that it should be 5, it should not be 29. But by seeing that data, by analyzing that data, both the answers are correct. So computer scientists are always look for what? Correct value. While data scientists will always look for avoiding the wrong values. So this x5 can have the different values. It can have the 5. So if it is linear relation, then it should have the value 5. If it is fourth order polynomial, then it should have value 29. So both the answers are correct. We cannot say that there is specific answer for x5. But computer scientists will always look for the specific answer rather than avoiding the wrong answers. So see this sequence. What is this sequence? What should be the next number here? Can anyone tell from the audience? It looks like the sequence of the prime numbers. So next prime will be the 61. Next prime will be the 61. But is it correct? No, it is not correct. It can be also 60. Because this, if you see the simple group, order of the simple group, so from the order of the simple group, the number should be 60. But both the answers are correct based on the application domain. So if you are looking for a sequence for the prime number, then the answer should be 61. If you are looking for the simple group, then answer should be 60. But we prefer the answer 61 because we are more familiar with the primes than the concept of the simple group. So this is how you can differentiate the computer scientist and the data scientist. Take this example. If I will provide you the certain images, so if you are a computer scientist, you can provide the one application domain like automatic image captioning. But data scientists can look for the various other domains if they will have data. So data are the important thing. Data are the important things which will help computer science to realize to solve the real-time problems. So if you see here, if I provide you these certain images, you can go for the automated image captioning. Some other people can find out the certain objects, so they can find out the backgrounds. They can derive the objects from the given image. So there are n kind of applications you can develop if you have the data. Take this example. If you have Netflix database of the images or titles, you can provide the movie recommendation based on the user's interest. If I will provide you the mail data, and if many of the mails if you are ignoring, then based on that I can perform the spam detection. But what are the major challenges here? The major challenges are here, like still spam filters are not that much mature enough. Let's say they are spam detection is working based on the certain keywords. Let's say in email, suppose if you are receiving the contents, you won this much $1 million. So whenever one word will be there, whenever word will be there in a content, then that mail service provider will tell that this is a spam. But think about, suppose if you are participating in one of the competition and if you are getting a result through the mail, in that mail if it is mentioned that you have participated in this competition and you won this much prize. So as per the spam detectors, if these keywords like won and this much dollar, if these two keywords are matching, then that mail will go to the spam folder. But ultimately, it is difficult to differentiate the context, under which context you are getting such mails. So here you must have to apply the machine learning. Current spam detectors are working based on the keywords. But with the keywords, we need to understand the context of those contents. So here you can apply the various machine learning techniques. So here deep analysis of the contents are required. I'm not talking about the deep learning. I'm not talking about the machine learning. I'm talking about deep analysis of the contents as well as the context should be understood. So the question is, what is data science? Is it next new life? Is it data analytics? Is it data mining? Is it statistics? So all these terms are coming under one umbrella. Ultimately, what we want to do in case of data science, we are always just try to discover new and new applications from the given data and to solve the real-time problems. But what machine learning techniques are doing? machine learning techniques are kind of algorithm driven. Means whatever data you are giving to the machine learning algorithms, they are providing the results. And they are providing the results. Take this first example. They will always provide the correct value like x is equal to 5. But machine learning algorithms will never tell you that what are the other possible solutions for this x5. So machine learning algorithms are always working towards what? That specific answer. It is not looking forward for the other all the possible answers. So here, this is the difference between the machine learning and the data science. Then we have the buzzwords like big data. It's difficult to define what is the big data. Some people are saying that if data are complex, we can say that this is big data. So data science is the different from all these terms, but all these terms are coming under the one umbrella only for the data exploration. So there is no specific definition available for the data science, but it can have the certain elements. Data science can be called as a exploratory data analysis and visualization. Means it is data driven. It is data driven. But if you are thinking that data science is the machine learning, data mining, or statistics to extract the knowledge from the observed data, so this is too narrow definition. Because all these techniques are doing what? All these techniques are trying to get the correct result, but they are not. These techniques are not trying to avoid the wrong results. So that is why this definition can be called as a narrow definition. It requires the high performance computing technologies to analyze the data in different contexts. Let us say, take the example of the social media data. So if I provide you social media data, what you will do? You will find out the links of the friends, or what else you can do. So if you are giving such data to the data scientist, they can come up with the new and new functionalities. And currently industries are looking for the data scientist compared to the computer scientist. So why they are looking forward for the data scientist, that those examples I will cover later. Only thing that they want to come up with the new and new functionalities or features based on the given data. So data science is an interdisciplinary stream where you can involve the mathematicians, statistical analysis, computer scientists, application developers. So data science is the extraction of a knowledge from the data. So this first line is relevant to the what? Too narrow definition of the data science. So here you can apply the data mining, statistical analysis, machine learning, which is a continuation of field of the data mining and predictive analysis. But this is not a proper definition. This can be considered as a proper definition defined by the next. Data science is the empirical synthesis of actionable knowledge from the raw data through the complete data life cycle process. So let's say I'm giving you the one data. You have to apply the different data life cycle process, and you have to come up with the new and new applications of the data. Generally, when we are applying machine learning techniques, we are fixing the application domain first. If you see the machine learning life cycle process, first we are fixing the application domain, then we are collecting the data, then we are smoothing, means we are performing the pre-processing of that data, then we are applying the machine learning techniques, and we are finding the correct solution. But data science is different from this life cycle. In data, first data will be provided, application will not be defined. Data will be provided, so you have to collect a domain relevant data. You need not to define the application, but at least domain relevant data you should collect and think about how many different applications we can produce from the given data. So what are the skill sets required to become a data scientist? So usually you will require the computer science or IT, you will require the mathematics and statistical analysis, and you require the domain or business knowledge. So if you have only these two skill set, which currently software developers are having, they have domain knowledge or business knowledge, means what kind of application they want to develop, and using the codes. So codes you can learn from the computer science or IT. If you are having only these two skill set, computer science and domain knowledge, then you can become a software developer, but you cannot be considered as a data science because you are not learning from the data, or you are not, I can say, you are not learning from the data, or you are not looking forward for the new and new functionalities of the softwares. If you have these two skill set, computer scientist and mathematics and statistics, so that is a part of machine learning. That is a part of machine learning. To become to develop a new machine learning techniques, you must have the knowledge of what mathematics, statistics, and you should have the background of the computer science. If you have only domain knowledge and the mathematics and statistical knowledge, then it will be considered a traditional research. Means you can come up with the new techniques in the mathematics based on the domain knowledge, like the cryptography. So cryptography has come based on the domain knowledge and the mathematics, but it is not called as a machine learning. So if you would like to become a data scientist, you should have knowledge of these three domains: computer science, mathematics, statistics, and the business knowledge. So what data scientist? So how we can realize whether this person is data scientist or not? So data scientist can understand the background domain. So you must have the background domain knowledge. We can provide the solution. So and that solution should produce the added value to the organization. Now think about, I'm providing you my institute data to you, and you have the background domain knowledge of my institute. So, but I'm not telling that what I want to do with this data. So data scientist role is to do what? To add the value in my organization. Means you have to come up with the new and new solutions over this data, and you should say that if you apply this algorithm on this data, you will get this kind of result. So always you can provide the different solutions. So you can implement the solutions effectively and communicate the findings clearly. So this is very important, that how you are communicating the findings clearly. This term is very much important. Otherwise, see, for a given data, you can have the n number of solutions, but all the n number of solutions may not add the value to the organization. So what are the solutions can add the value to the organization? That should be communicated to the particular organization. So data scientist is called as a practitioner with the sufficient expertise in software engineering, statistics or machine learning, and the application domain. These we can learn. Machine learning we can learn from our courses and lot of research material available. Software engineering we can learn, but it is very difficult to get the application domain. Application domain you can get based on your knowledge, experience, or expertise. So data here, application domain is differentiating the data scientist and computer scientist. If you are a computer scientist, you can use the machine learning because you already have the knowledge of machine learning and statistics. You already have knowledge of software engineering, but you are not realize the real world. So you don't have the application domain knowledge. So you must have to develop the application domain knowledge, and then you can become a data scientist. Now think about when we are looking forward for any research work in the areas of machine learning, AI. What we are doing? First, we are fixing the application domain. How we are fixing? We are checking that where ANN can be applied, where particular data mining techniques can be applied, and based on that we are fixing the application domain. But we are not looking forward for our new application. Like take the example of currently many of the people are looking forward for the recommendation analysis or prediction. So they are already fixing, and this work is already going on since last many years. But you are not looking forward for new application domain. In machine learning, if you would like to do research, you can do research in three domains. Either you can work on the machine learning techniques, means you must have to come up with the new machine learning techniques which can provide the proper results. So to do research on the machine learning techniques, you should have the background knowledge of the mathematics and statistics. So that is one of the domain. Another domain, you can work on the application side. Means already you have the existing machine learning techniques, statistics knowledge. You know the software engineering fundamentals. So what you can do, you can find out the new application and apply the existing technique. This is one of the another domain of research in machine learning area. But very important domain for the research is what? Come up with the new machine learning techniques and come up with the new application domain for that machine learning technique. So here a data scientist will play major role. So if you want to become a data scientist, your research should be towards on that third domain. What is that third domain? Come up with the new application. But before coming with the new application, you must have to develop the new machine learning techniques. And for that machine learning techniques, fix that particular application. Now think about, suppose if I would like to, I'm developing like frequency analysis, like a priori algorithm. So for a priori algorithm, I cannot apply any prediction based application because my results will not, at the end, results will not be correct. So if you think that mathematicians and computer scientists have already developed the existing, I can say that machine learning techniques, data mining techniques, but they already fixed the possible applications of all these techniques. So if you want to come up with the new application which is not realized by anyone in this world, you have to come up with the new machine learning technique. So computer scientists will not appreciate the data. What they are doing, they are getting data, they are applying that data, and they are more focused towards the program. Means any technique of the machine learning or data mining or deep learning, and usually they are testing the performance of the given algorithm by applying that algorithm over the random data. So computer scientists will never appreciate data. What they are doing, whatever kind of data you are giving, I'll apply the pre-processing. But how I will apply the pre-processing? Based on the results of my machine learning algorithm. If results of the machine learning algorithm are not well, I'll pre-process that data. Again, I will change that data. I'll find out the features from that data, and then again I will run same algorithm. But the interesting data sets are, or I can say that standard data sets are difficult to get because we have a lot of noise. So here blockchain will play a role to get the data, verified data, validated data. To get the verified data, validated data, standardized data will require the blockchain. So here blockchain will help it more. So what is the difference between computer and real scientist? So scientists try to understand the complicated and messy natural world. Means scientists will not sit within a one cabin and they will say that this should be the application of that data, but they will realize the real world and they will see that how I can solve this problem. But computer scientists will build their own and clean, organized virtual world. Means they will run just algorithm and they will see that this is the performance of this. Suppose if you are doing in machine learning, if you are doing research work in machine learning domain, what you are doing? Are you going to the particular site? are you going to collect the data? You are just downloading the data from the internet and you are applying the machine learning techniques. But the background domain of that application must be understood, which scientists are doing. So nothing is ever completely true or false in case of science. Means in case of the computer scientist, what they are looking for, either the answer should be true or false. But in case of the scientist, they are not worrying about the true or false answer. They are worrying about what? The answer should not be wrong. So scientists are data driven, while computer scientists are algorithm driven, because we are more focusing when we are doing research in machine learning area. We are more focusing over what? Techniques. We are not focusing on the data, that whether on this data what we can do, that we are not focusing. What we are doing, we are fixing the application domain, we are collecting the relevant data. Take the example of, suppose I want to work on the network intrusion detection system. So what I am doing, I am not collecting the data from all over the world. I am just collecting the data from my network, from my organization network, and I am applying the various machine learning techniques. So I am changing the machine learning technique based on the performance of that technique. But I'm not changing my data. Yes, scientists are data driven. So they are focusing on data and then they are looking forward for the possible applications of that data. So scientists always is about the discovering the thing, while computer scientists are innovating. So we are innovating. I can say that we are innovating the things rather than discovering the new thing. So scientists are comfortable with the idea that data has errors, because even if data has errors, we can develop the new application based on these errors. But computer scientists are always looking forward for the clean data without having any errors, so that the machine learning techniques can have the better performance. So this is about the difference between the genius and wisdom. Software developers are hired to produce the code, so they are called as genius. If you see any company, they are hiring the software developers. What work they are giving to them? Just to produce a code for a given application. While data scientists are hired to produce the insights of the code. So if you see that usually BTech students are hired for writing a code in the industry, IT industry. But they are not hired to analyze the data. So data analyst role are given to the people who are having the proper background knowledge. And that is why their logical or aptitude abilities are checked. So genius shows in findings the right answer. So if you see that always BTech students are looking forward for what? That code should work properly. Means code should give the expected output. While data scientists will not look forward for the expected output, they will try to avoid the wrong answers. But right answers can be many answers based on our previous examples, like the series of the prime number. But series of the prime number can also be part of the simple group. So data scientists will look for all the possible right answers. They will not look forward for only the expected output. So data science benefits more from the wisdom than the genius. But the question is how we can develop the wisdom. If you think that if I want to become a data scientist, then how I can build the wisdom, because wisdom is more relevant to the data science and genius is more relevant to the software developers. So already you should have the background knowledge of the mathematics, you should have the background knowledge of the computer coding, but wisdom will come from the experience. Wisdom will come from the general knowledge. Wisdom will come from the listening to the others. Wisdom will come from the humility, observing how often you have been wrong and why and how. So if you have these 4 points, then you can become the data scientist. But along with these 4 points, you should have the knowledge of the mathematics, statistics, and the coding ability, proper coding ability. So experience, how you can get the experience? By observing the real world. And that is why we, currently how we are doing research, we are reading all the papers, we are making the exhaustive survey. But here the scope of thinking is going to be shrink. Instead of, I would always recommend that if you want to come up with a new application, you should not read the existing works. Why? Because your scope of thinking will be shrink to those particular papers. You should realize, like let's say, suppose I'm walking on a road and suddenly red lights, I can see the signals. So how I can make that signaling automated way? Think about street lights. This is one of the example of the smart city application. We have street lights, and street lights are having the timers. Like at sharp 6 o'clock in evening, the lights will become on, and morning 6 o'clock, those lights will become off. But what about, suppose think about the winter season or rainy season. Daytime also, the sunlight will not be enough. At that time, those lights should be on. So here you must have to apply some smart controllers, means some smart thing. So here data scientists will play a role. You must have to analyze the current situation of the weather, and accordingly those lights should become on or off. So such kind of application, how we can get? By observing the real world. By sitting at the in the office, we cannot see such application. So I seek pass on wisdom by providing the experience on the difficulty of making the good prediction. So the wisdom is most important if you would like to become a data scientist. Then you should have curiosity. Curiosity means what? About asking the question, about knowing the real problems. So the good data scientists develop a curiosity about the domain or application they are working in. Suppose, let's say I am working on the transportation sector. Although I am the computer scientist, but I am looking forward for the solutions in the transportation sector. Now in transportation sector, already many of the problems are there. But how you are looking into those problems and how you are collecting that data, that is called as a curiosity. So they will always talk soft with the people whose data they are working on. So suppose if I want to develop a solution for this transportation sector, I will talk to the people that what kind of problems they are facing and what kind of data they are available. And then I can think of the new application by solving those problems. Data scientists will always read the news every day to get a broader perspective on the world. So from the when you are reading the news, you are getting that every day how many accidents are happening on this particular road. Then you have to find out that why these accidents are happening and how you can contribute to solve this problem. That is a role of data scientist. Data scientists will always ask the good question. Software developers are not encouraged to ask question. Why? They are already given the application domain. They have to just code that and they have to find out the correct answer. Means already you know that what should be the expected answer. So software developers are not encouraged to ask questions. They have to find out that expected answer by performing the coding. But data scientists are always encouraged to ask the question that what. So these are the sample questions that what exciting things might you be able to learn from a given data set. So data scientists will always tell that this is my data. From this data, I can do these. These are the possible stuff based on my experience and based on my knowledge. What things do you or your people really want to know? What data sets might you get you here? Now, if you think about the BTech students working in the IT industry, they are if they are developing the codes, means if they are only the software developers, they will never talk to the client that what clients need. So, but data scientist like the project manager, I can say that project manager is one of the kind of scientist, but he not having the background knowledge. How he is getting the background knowledge or domain knowledge by talking to the clients. So, project managers who will always talk to the client, they will ask that what kind of data you will supply to me. Now, from this data, my team will be able to develop these many applications. Then which are the applications are really needed for you, and how you are going to realize these applications. So this is the part of the requirement elicitation in this software engineering. So project managers are always, I can say that, paid more than the software developers. Why? Because they are building the context. They are building the domain application. So we'll see some practice on asking the questions. So your answers should be based on the who, what, where, when, and why on this following data set. So suppose if I'm giving you this IMDb movie data set, your questions should be based on this. Then you can say that you are becoming a data scientist. So suppose if I'm giving you this data, like movie data to you. So this data are having the details which box office, company credits, technical specification. So these are the data I'm giving to you. Now what you can do with this data? Why you are doing on this data? So all these questions should come. Who means what you are going to get from this data? Who will get benefited? Where you are going to apply these applications? When you will get this data and why you are applying such applications. So if you have such data set, what kind of different questions will come from you? Suppose I am giving this data to you. Can you make this session interactive? Can you ask? I want to come up with the new and new applications based on this data. I have data source, and luckily over the internet we have a large amount of data. So if I have large amount of data available, I can develop the n kind of application, and that is the role of the data scientist. Now you have to just, if you are data scientist, I'm just providing you this data, and based on this data, you have to come up with the new applications. Now, can you tell me that what kind of new applications you can develop using such data? I'm encouraging participants to ask the questions. See, in data scientist, whatever questions you will ask, nothing will be wrong. All the questions will develop new applications. If you are asking me one question, it will give me strike to develop one application. So you can ask certain questions on such based on this data. Can anyone ask any question by getting such data? So consider this data I'm giving you. You ask one question. Just unmute your mic and ask the question.
Yes, participants, you can ask the question now. Unmute the mic and ask the question, please.
Make this session more interactive. Then it will be more interesting session.
Yeah.
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Hello, sir. I'm Ajay.
Yeah, please.
Sir, is it the incoming from the movies? Is it depend on a production company also? And how can we estimate this?
Yeah, so this is one of the kind of application. How we can estimate this? Okay, so this is about the prediction. So accordingly, you can apply the proper technique. So if you ask me question, it will create one application. Any other question?
Good noon, sir. Good noon.
Yeah, good enough.
We build application that suggest a movie. That movie watched by the person as per the posted by the person, and from that we analyze the sentiment of that person. He
Yeah.
is in which mood. If he is in frustrated, so he see or this movie or that movie that way.
So you are explaining, see, you are explaining the application. I'm asking you to ask, means I'm requesting you to ask the question. So if you are having the question that based on the sentiment, what kind of application I can develop? So like movie recommendation. So this is the such questions will help you to build the new applications. So let me cover one another example. Actor data. Suppose if I'm giving the actor data, all the actors data to you. Now think about what kind of applications you can develop. But that answer you will get, what kind of applications you can develop. For this, the answer you will get after asking the questions. So we'll see these some sample questions. Like, can we predict how well people will like a movie? That is this question is relevant to what you were asking regarding the sentiment analysis. What about it grows? What does the social network of actor look like? So based on this data, data scientists, after getting such data scientists will have this kind of questions. And all these questions will help you to develop new and new applications. So here social network actors means actors social network life you can predict. So this is one of the applications you may not have realized this while working on the machine learning. How people will like a particular movie. So this will be based on the sentiments of the people. So you must have the background knowledge. What are the current sentiments? So suppose even this movie people are following such things. Means more production team and directors are working on this. That when we should release the movie. So currently, suppose in real world, currently take the example of Corona is going on. So everyone is looking about the certain virus-based movies. Certain virus-based movies. So if you see the web series which are based on this kind of virus, people will like such movies more because currently they are observing this. So data scientists will use their background knowledge. What is the age distribution of the actors and actresses in the film? So this requires the statistical analysis. So here technique is not fixed. Data is fixed. So scientists are always data driven. Data are fixed. Based on the data, you can come up with the n number of applications and accordingly you can apply the techniques. Take the example of New York taxi cab data. All these data are available online. Suppose if I am giving you this data to you, you can come up with the new applications after asking the certain questions. How much do drivers make each night? How far do they travel? How much slower is traffic during the rush hour? So if how much slower is traffic? So based on the traffic, you can come up with the signaling system, proper signaling system. This can help the Google. So see, even after asking one question, you can come up with a new application. So that is my intention why I'm asking these questions. So suppose if you have certain data of the particular domain, take the example of NIT Goa organizations data if you are having, then Instead of looking into the existing solutions or existing applications, if you ask the certain questions, with such kind of questions, you can come up with the new and new application, then you can grow your business. So IT companies are always looking for these data scientists. Why? Because they are thinking out of the box. They are not thinking over the existing applications, because existing applications are already developed. They are looking forward for the new application, and if they will provide the new application, they can grow their business. Now think about this. If I am providing you this data, traffic surveillance footage data. So this is one of the traffic surveillance footage which is taken from the Mumbai. What you can do with this footage? So if I'm providing you this data, can you ask me that different applications, or can you ask me the different questions? I can ask one question: how I can prevent the accidents? This is one of the case. Any other thing? So see, my screen is my PPT is over full screen. I will not be able to see the chat questions over the chat. Can you ask me directly in live? Some questions are popping up in chat, but I am not able to read because my screen is full screen.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, please.
Hello, so the question is, what is the criteria for a driver to visit a new place?
Yeah. So that criteria prediction you have to do. And accordingly, you should have the domain data. So ultimate intention for asking a question is what? To develop a new application. So think about this data. On the screen, you can see the traffic surveillance footage. I'm asking you that what you can do with this. So based on these questions, we can have, based on this question, we can develop new and new applications. Instead of reading the papers and instead of just checking the existing application. So here, my first application will be what? How data scientist role is to do what? Accident prevention. Another thing, traffic diverting. How I can perform the proper traffic diverting. So here, traffic signaling system should be smart enough. In whatever direction if traffic is less, so for a particular direction, the traffic should be diverted to the particular direction. Then you have to use your wisdom that how you can solve this problem. So see, we are lucky in India that we can get the n number of problems while walking on the road. And those problems we can solve using our background knowledge. Now this is the image. Can you tell me what is this image? Which image is this?
Maybe Prime Minister, our respected Prime Minister.
Yeah, respected Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So this is a childhood image. Now what you can do with, if you are having the childhood images, what you can do with such images? So if you are data scientist, you are data driven. So I'm providing you data. Now what kind of different applications you can develop using the child images? Already over the Facebook or over the social media, you are having the various applications. Can I predict the person's face photo after suppose 60 years or 70 years? This is one of the applications. So this is related to the prediction. So this will help you in the Aadhaar database also. Suppose during the Aadhaar card, suppose if you are providing your child image and your face image will not match after the 10 years or 15 years. So if you are providing such solution, prediction based solution in the Aadhaar, then even after 15 years, even if your face is changed, it will predict and it will match. So we need not to go for getting new Aadhaar card by providing new samples. So this kind of certain applications we can develop. Till now, nobody has realized, or we can say that we have not, right? In this world, others might have realized, but we have not realized that what we can do with such images. But again, certain challenges will be there. Even if you are solving such problems, these problems cannot be solved within one day. You will have the certain challenges. If you have such kind of images, that these are the challenges. Now think about, in this football ground, violence is happening. So this footage I am having. Now what kind of different applications I can develop? Can you tell me? First of all, violence detection. Whether violence is happening or people are just having the fun here, that we want to predict. Any other things? Any other application can we develop here? So these are the images based on the surveillance. So see, if you are developing certain application, it can work in the public domain. Like in public domain, wherever violence is happening, you can easily detect. Like movement detection based on the emotions. I will provide you n number of applications of the machine learning in this session. But how you can find out those n number of, see, my way of thinking may be different, your way of thinking may be different. So if you discuss with the people, or if you listen to the people, you can come up with the new applications. Only thing that you are having this data. So if I will share this data to the 100 people, I can get the 100 different applications from those 100 people. Data are same, but number of applications are different. So here we can provide our research. What is research? Application. We are finding new application. But challenges are always there. If you see that here, the closure look for this photo is taken. But if you see this, always cameras will be far away. Now, from such images, can you find out anywhere in this ground whether violence is happening or not? It is difficult to do. So here you must have to apply the fine-tuned machine learning techniques. So you should always look for the new techniques. Brain reading. Now already this brain, based on the brain signals we are taking, and we are able to convert these signals in terms of the speech or any other thing. Now if I apply the neurosignals of the brain, what you can do with those signal data? Can you realize any application on this? See, here what is happening, whatever this person is thinking, based on that, speech is coming. Speech is coming. So you can perform the real-time signal processing, then real-time signal decoding, real-time device control, and that you can convert into the speech synthesizer, and you can get the speech. Where now the question is relevant to the where such kind of applications will be more applicable. Can you tell? Such kind of applications will be more useful or will add value in case of the investigation of the case. Suppose if you are catching one thief, or if you are catching the terrorist. So if you ask, even during the investigation, he will never speak the correct thing. He will never tell you the correct thing. What you can do, you need not to harm that particular person. You just have to throw the question. So even if he's speaking, even if speaking the wrong, even if he's giving the wrong answers to your question, but in his mind, he will have the correct answer. Because if you want to realize that, suppose if I'm asking you one question, that what is your name, but you do not want to tell me your correct name, but in your mind, your correct name will be there, but your mouth will speak the wrong name. So if I'm getting such signals, I need not to torture that person. I can just capture those signals, and by capturing those signals, I should convert those signals into my correct answers. So these are the different applications you can develop. So ultimately, data science, how can we implement criminals? Yeah, that chat is again one. Can you ask that question, Ajay?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, please.
How can we implement criminal psychology in detecting thinking process of a person?
So that is what. So this is what this question is helping you to develop the application, but it will require a lot of operations. This problem cannot be solved within one day. Like take the example of people are having the. I can say that suppose people are particular people are. I can say person is suppose blind, or if he's not having leg. So what so means some kind of handicapped people we can consider. Suppose that person is not having leg, and he's walking through his wheelchair. So he need not to use his hands. See, so based on his neurosignal, he can move his chair. So this will create a scope of this is a scope of what, creating new application, that based on my brain signal, based on whatever I'm thinking in my mind, automatically that action should be taken place. Suppose if I'm sitting or I'm blind, I'm sitting in my room, and by just thinking, I want to operate each and every object in my room. So that will be considered as a smart home. So if you consider the machine learning, or I can say the data mining, or I can say the deep learning, all these techniques are can be applied to the each and every domain. Smart home, IoT, everywhere you can apply such. But you should have the wisdom, and for that wisdom you should have the background knowledge. So data science is a process. Machine learning is the optimization of the loss function. Machine learning is just an algorithm, but data science is a process. Machine learning must generalize to the unseen data, then evaluate the data science in its operational context. And similar entities can have the similar unseen attributes. Then you can perform the correlation. So think about how data science life cycle is working. So first of all, when you are starting, you should understand the business domain. Means business understanding you should have. So think about the transportation sector. So I can have the transportation business. So I should have the background knowledge of the transportation, that what are the problems they are facing, and accordingly I can have the different data sources. So data acquisition, I should understand that data. Then I can deploy the different techniques. So here I can deploy, and I can apply the features engineering, model training, model evaluation. So the machine learning is only this part, while data science is full process. Once I'm deploying, I'm scoring the performance and I'm monitoring. I'm not looking forward for the expected answer, but I'm looking forward for the what, expected number of applications. And if that application is accepted by the customer, I can deploy that application, and other applications I need not to deploy. But major challenge is when you are having the data science life cycle, and when you are having the machine learning techniques, or learning techniques. Generally, we can say that it is learning technique. So What are the problems these techniques are facing, or what are the challenges these techniques are facing? Data acquisition and understanding. Because the problem is with this data is what? There is no data standardization. Whenever you are collecting data, nobody can put a stamp on this data that this data will give you all the possible correct answers. So data standardization is important. Data validation is also not there. Suppose if you ask me the data, whatever format I am storing this data, that data will send you, but data validation will not be there. Data verification is not there. And sometimes you are getting the modified data due to the privacy issue. So suppose if you are performing the like network intrusion detection system, for which also we require the machine learning techniques. So what you will do, you will ask the client that provide me your network data, and based on this data, I will perform the network intrusion detection system. In this case, client will not provide you the correct data because due to the privacy issue. Why? By getting that data, you can learn about that client, that what kind of data they are passing over the network. So they will always give you the modified data. You can have the noisy data, and you can have the lack of context aware data. Context may not be defined, that for which application, from which, under what decision this data was generated, that context may be missing. So that is why first important part of this data science life cycle is the what? You should have the proper data, or you can have the standardized data. Now currently, till now, we were applying such data science or machine learning or deep learning over the raw data. I can say the raw data. But future of the machine learning will be based on the blockchain base. So blockchain is not a new technology. It is a kind of the database only. But this database, it is different from the normal database. So this database, blockchain database, is generated by adding the specific requirements. So specific rules are put into the database. Means once your data are recorded, after the proper verification and validation, that data should not be modified. Once the data are added, means it should have the append only feature. It should not be modified. Data should be consistent. Means integrity of data should also be there. So data itself is locked to an owner, that based on the which application or from which owner you are getting this data. And data availability will also be there, because the data will be here. Blockchain is considered as a distributed database. So the same copy of data will be available at the different nodes. And how this data will be recorded? If in a distributed environment, if everyone will agree that this data is correct data, or this data are verified data, this data are valid data, then and then only this data will be recorded over the blockchain. So this will help to, this kind of data will help to improve the performance of our machine learning technique. So in future, for the machine learning techniques, the data source may be the blockchain. What is the difference between databases and blockchain? Databases are either on-premise data, or you can have the virtual machines or cloud data servers. But blockchains are the like fully decentralized data. Every node will have the same copy of data. So data are verified data. Data are stored based on the certain consensus. Consensus means, let's say, over the organization, or suppose take the example of at NIT Goa, on the database, I want to upload the students' degree certificates. So only my stamp will not be enough. Everyone should be agree that this data is correct, then and then only it will be recorded over the blockchain. So how distributed databases and blockchains are different. So see, blockchain is different from your FTP theme, but blockchain is relevant to your machine learning because it is offering the proper data source. So trust model is fundamentally different in case of the blockchain and the distributed database. So if you consider the distributed database, you can have the n number of nodes. So node A, node B, node C, and node D. So this is the distributed database. So the trust is among these distributed nodes, means every node will trust on each other in case of the distributed environment. So suppose if node A is updating the copy of data, then node B, node C, and node D will also automatically update the copy of data because they are trusting on each other. So trust boundary is among this node. But if any external user would like to add the data or would like to access that data, we have to provide the security here. So external user will have the access control, and whatever data that external user would like to push over any of these node, data validation will take place. Data validation will take place so that always you can have the correct data. So currently for the machine learning techniques or I can say that deep learning techniques, we are having the random sources of data, but there is no data validation. Just we are collecting data from the different sources, but we are not performing the data validation. If data validation is performed, then it can have the it can add value to your final output. In case of blockchain, the trust boundary is not among the node. Trust boundary is within that node. Means no node will trust on each other. So consider organization A, B, C, and D. They are maintaining the common database. Take the example of university. Under university, you can have the multiple organizations or multiple institutes. Now, all the institutes would like to maintain the common copy of students' data, but they are not trusting on each other. So whenever node A is saying that I want to update the copy of data, so that copy should also be updated at the B, C, and D, but they are not trusting. So B will verify whether whatever node A is saying, whether it is correct or not. So that data will get validated then, and then only other nodes will update that copy. So here we must have to run the certain consensus to make B and C convinced that they should update the database copy. And here that is why here blockchain is playing a role. So in databases, how we are storing data? We are storing data in the form of what? Tables, relational tables. So there are different ways, or based on the different schema, we are storing the data. But usual form of storing data is what? In the form of table. But in case of the blockchain, data will be stored in the form of blocks. So suppose consider 5 transactions are happen, 5 data transactions are happen. So all these transactions will be stored into the one of the block. Then that block will be replicated to all the nodes. And by running the consensus mechanism, let's say P1 is convincing P2, P3, and P4 that they should append this data. Once this data are appended, nobody can modify that data. And that is offered through the cryptographic technique. So I'm not going into the details of the cryptography, that how that immutability feature is provided, but I'm saying that data will be stored in this chaining manner. So it is kind of logical linked list of data. So to understand the blockchain, you should have the knowledge of the cryptography, game theory, software engineering, database, computer network, and secure coding. But over the blockchain, there are a lot of add-on applications. So IoT is what? Internet of Things. So it is based on the sensors. Sensors are always what? Data feeders. They will always generate the data, and that data will be stored over the blockchain. And on the top of blockchain, you can apply the machine learning techniques and various analysis techniques, and you can run the business logics. Now think about, here the data format is going to be changed. The way of storing data is going to be changed. So that will create a challenge to our traditional analysis techniques. So one of the challenges is that how you can directly apply the machine learning techniques over the blockchain. So this is one of the novel way of doing research. So this is one of the recent research challenge. If you would like to work or if you would like to do research, you can do a research on this problem. How you can directly apply machine learning technique for a given business domain over the blockchain data, because the way of storing data over the blockchain is different. And these are the key features of the blockchain. It is offering the immutability. Means once data is stored, it will never get modified. It will offer the transparency. So data will be always transparent to every node in the distributed environment. You can perform the data tracing. So data tracing will be very much important. That suppose if you are applying the machine learning techniques over the blockchain and you are getting the wrong result. So you can do the back tracing, that due to which kind of anomaly or due to which kind of error data you are getting the wrong results. It is offering the fully decentralized, it is offering the trust, because even though parties are untrusted, nodes are untrusted to each other, but by running the consensus mechanism, they are developing the trust. So actually blockchain is not come from other application, but it has come from the financial application. Think about the net banking. Whenever you are performing the transaction through net banking, you must have to trust on the what? Centralized entity, that is the bank. Now tomorrow if bank servers are failed or damaged, all your account details will be lost. So after that day, bank will tell that you did not have any balance in that bank. So this is the rare case, very rare case. But your transactions are getting recorded where? Only at the centralized system. So, and those transactions are not transparent. So there may be a lot of corruption can happen. Suppose if you are saying that I have transferred this much amount to my friend, but it is not reflected to the server. So if it not reflected at the server, bank will deny that you have not performed this transaction. But if same transaction is getting recorded at the n number of nodes, nobody can deny that you have not performed this transaction. So this was proposed. Everyone knows about the Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the one of the application of the blockchain. So that was proposed by the anonymous author Satoshi Nakamoto on October 31st, 2018. And it has given a birth of the current blockchain industry. And after that, many blockchains have been popularized, like Ethereum, Hyperledger. So blockchain, what is the blockchain? There is no standard definition is available, but we can consider blockchain is a distributed database which is practically immutable. Means once the data are getting recorded, those recorded data cannot be modified. So that will be maintained by this decentralized peer-to-peer network using the certain concession mechanism. This concession mechanism is important because the peer-to-peer network, there is no trust. So to make them convinced to maintain the database, we must have to run some game theory. And these data are getting recorded based on the logical linking, and that linking is offered through the cryptographic as function. So we'll see the workflow that how in blockchain data are getting recorded. Let's say that there is a transaction initiator or receiver. Even if receiver is not there, but I want to record the data over the blockchain. So let's say there is a sensor here. Transaction initiator can be sensor, can be human. So once the transaction initiator is sending the transaction, it will go to the peer-to-peer network. So every node in this peer-to-peer network will wait for the certain number of the transactions. Once the sufficient number of transactions will come, all the nodes will start creating a new block. So this blue mark block is considered as a new block. So they will start creating a new block. If this block will be created by one of the nodes, then that block of the transaction will be reflected or will be broadcasted into the other nodes. And if 51% of nodes are saying that this block is correct block, if this 51% of nodes are saying that this block is correct block, then it will be added to the chain. That means in blockchain, what your transaction data are coming, those transaction data will be added to all the nodes once it will get the 51% of confirmation. Means the data are getting verified and data are getting validated. So once I will have verified and validated data over the blockchain, that verified and validated data are called as the standardized data, and this data will help to improve the performance of the machine learning techniques for a given business domain. So I'm not going into details of the block structure. Yeah, so how the in blockchain how data are getting stored. So consider, as I said, that there is a logical linking among the blocks. So consider block 9 is linked to the block 10, block 10 is linked to the block 11, block 11 is linked to the block 12, like this. And the transaction data are recorded as per the Merkle. This data hash value, cryptographic hash value will be calculated. At the end, it will reach to the root, and that root will be added to the block header. So, and the beauty of hash function is what? Even if you change the one bit of data, even if you are changing the one bit of data, whole hash value will get changed. Now, if this hash value will be changed, the root's hash value will get changed, the whole block's hash value will get changed, and the logical linking is provided based on the previous hash value. So what is the condition here to add this block, to add the block, the condition for adding block 11 to the block 10 is what? The hash value of this block 11 should be lower than the hash value of block 10. So if you are changing the one bit, whole hash value will get changed, and that value will not be lower than the previous block's hash value, and this block will be invalidated. Ultimately, blockchain is helping you to get the unmodified data. Generally, in wireless sensor network or in IoT, the sensors are getting the data, but over the network, due to the some attacks or due to the incapability of the, I can say, that sensor, you are getting the wrong data, and which are not getting verified, and you are directly applying the machine learning techniques over such data. So obviously you will not get result. So, but here you are getting the verified data, you are getting the unmodified data, you are getting the validated data, and that will help. That will help to the machine learning techniques to analyze this data in a proper way. So this is the blockchain reference architecture. At the here the backend side, you will have the blockchain network. Here you will have the code, business logic codes, that if certain conditions will be satisfied, then and then only transaction will take place. And on the top of that, you can have the n number of applications. You can have manufacturing, supply chain, healthcare. If you see all these applications, in this application domain, you must have to perform the machine learning techniques for the prediction, classification, or the features. So this is the data source. This is the data source. These are the applications, and you have to apply this app. You have to apply the machine learning techniques over such data sources. So how immutability is offered here? As I said that currently consider all these nodes are having the block 0 to the block 2. Now suppose block 3 is created by the P1. As P2, P3 and P4 are not trusting on P1. Not trusting on P1. How P1 will convince P2, P3 and P4 that they should add this block, because this block is corrected by this client 1. So in this case, what will happen? There will be the concession mechanism. If out of these three, if two are saying that this data is valid data or correct data, then all the nodes will apply this data. All the nodes will update their copy. Otherwise, they will not update copy. So this type of consensus is called as a Byzantine consensus. Even though nodes are not trusting on each other, but if any two out of these three nodes are saying that this is correct data, then it will get added. And once it will be added, and the hash of the current block will be the lower than the hash of the previous block. So If anybody trying to modify that copy, that hash value will not be lower than the previous block hash value. So that is why immutability is offered. How it is providing the security through transparency. So let us take this example, because see, if you consider, consider this example. In this example, consider this kid is having the birthday which should be celebrated today at 6 p.m. But this kid's mother is bringing this cake at the time 2 p.m. So you know that always kids are eager to eat the cake, but they have to, these kids' birthday should be celebrated in the evening 6 p.m. Now, how to secure this cake? So this cake is called as a data. This cake is called as a data. So there are two ways to secure data. You put this cake into the cupboard and lock that cupboard. Lock that cupboard. So this is what kind of encryption. You are putting a lock means you are encrypting that data and you are securing that data. Another way to secure this data, what? You put this data cake on a table and ask everyone to look at that cake. So as everyone is looking onto that cake, kid will not dare to eat that cake. That means here you are providing the data transparency. So if data transparency is there, based on data transparency, you are offering the security. So in blockchain, it is happening same thing. Every nodes are having the same copy of data. If one of the node is trying to modify data, but others are looking onto same data, so others copy will not get updated. Only one of the nodes copy will get updated. Then this data will not be considered as a valid data, because only that node has modified that data. So here security through transparency is given. So I'm not going into the details of all these blockchain consensus mechanism, that there are different consensus mechanisms available. But one of the consensus mechanism is what? When you are creating a block, it should get validated by at least 51% of nodes. So if 51% of nodes are giving confirmation that these data are valid, then it should get added with the blockchain. So this type of consensus mechanisms are called as a blockchain, which are having the n number of applications. In these applications, I will cover one of the applications that currently, you know that smart grid. In earlier days, we were not using the renewable energy sources to generate the energy. Nowadays, every home user can put the solar panel on their rooftop and can generate the energy. Now, such energy sources are dependent on what? Weather, environment conditions. So earlier days we were using the coal, and we were knowing that if we will put this much coal, we will get this much energy. Now there is high uncertainty. So in energy generation, we have high uncertainty. And in energy demand, we also have the high uncertainty. So there is always imbalance in energy supply and energy demand. So energy supply and demand prediction is more important. But for that, we should have the valid data. So valid data, if we have recorded over the blockchain, so blockchain will always have the valid data that how much energy per day it is supplied and how much energy per day it is consumed. And based on that, you can perform the prediction. So over the blockchain, you can perform the prediction. So similarly, water quality parameter prediction. So this is based on the IoT-based application. I will cover what are the possible applications you can perform over this, like water quality monitoring. So water quality monitoring is based on the certain IoT sensors, and that data should be stored over the blockchain, and you can apply the various analysis techniques on those parameters. Similarly, water supply monitoring, that how much water you are going to supply in this particular region, and based on that you can perform the supply prediction. Similarly, how much water is getting consumed, based on that you can perform the demand prediction. And if you are having this data, you can perform the water trading. So all these different kinds of applications you can develop on the top of blockchain and IoT IoT will be the data feeder, blockchain will be the data storing, data storing, and machine learning is for developing the applications on this data. So these are the available sensors. You can also see the other sensors to solve these many problems in the water quality and supply monitoring. So I'm stopping here. These are the sources and acknowledgement. And these are the references of the data science and machine learning. Thank you. If you have any query, you can ask me now. I have not covered the technical details of the blockchain. I have just link the blockchain with this FTP theme, that is machine learning and AI. So future data sources of the machine learning techniques will be the blockchain. So
Participants, if any participant is having the question, you can ask the question to the Dr. Modi sir. Okay, I think there is no any question. Okay, already in the interaction they have asked the question.
yes,
So
sir.
it's time to give vote of thanks.
Yes.
So it's my great pleasure to give the vote of thanks on the behalf of SSBT's College of Engineering and Technology, Bambhori, Jalgaon. I extend my thanks to Dr. Chirag Modi. From his hectic schedule, he accepted our invitation and delivered very nice session on the machine learning, blockchain, artificial intelligence, IoT, and he has covered all the topics very nicely. So I am very much thankful to Dr. Modi sir. You have covered very nicely all the aspects which is related to the machine learning, data learning, and the artificial intelligence. So thank you very much on the behalf of SSBT college and ENTC department. I am very much thankful to Dr. Modi. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, sir, I think I'm getting one question in chat box that is there any course in blockchain? Already many universities are putting this blockchain course in their curriculum.
Okay.
And I have conducted many FDPs on blockchain. So website, there is no specific website. If you see in this computer science field, if any new technology is coming, you will not get the complete material from one website. You must have to explore this from the
Yes, sir.
different sources.
Yes, sir.
But if you are reading and means if you are working on blockchain and if you are facing any problem, you can contact me. But I cannot say that there is specific website.
I request Dr. Modi sir to please send the PPTs.
Sure, sir. I will send it to you. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir.